Hey everybody, welcome back to another Deck Profile Friday. This one here is gonna be a super fun one, and it's gonna be pretty trolly, right? This is something that I just kind of created myself, and it kind of reminded me of the old Turn 2 Dragapult VMAX decks and the Victini VMAX decks, right? And I thought, maybe I can build something like that with cards, from, this block, right? From Battle Styles and up, right? Victini is still in, by the way, but I'm talking like Scarlet and Violet, right? And, obviously the one that I came up with is, the Bruce Wayne dot deck, the Batman deck, Noivern EX. Yeah, so we are going for Noivern EX. That's the deck. And without further ado, let's get into it. So pretty crazy here, but we got 4 Noivern EX. Makes sense. And then 4 Noibat. And then lastly, because there's only one more Pokemon, Squakabilly EX. Right? This is it. This is all that we have for Pokemon. Pretty cool. Noibat there, I think this is the better one. 70 HP, which is really good. They have to, with Sableye, obviously have to put an extra counter. They can't just knock out 2 of them in one stone. 1 retreat, no resistance, no weakness. And then 2 energy, Dark Psychic for 40. That's pretty good. But it's mainly there to evolve into Noivern EX. A pretty cool card. 260 HP. A completely blank bottom portion there and retreat costs, resistance, and weakness. And then 2 extremely good attacks. Covert Flight does 70 for 2 colorless. During your opponent's next turn, prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from basic Pokemon. So that is crazy good. Depending on the matchup, right? If you're playing against Chien-Pao, you stop Chien-Pao. They have to attack with Baxcalibur or Palkia or whatever, right? It stops, in the nothing really in the Mew matchup, right? Because Mew VMAX is, obviously it's a VMAX. It's a stage 1 pretty much. So, a Gardevoir, it stops obviously Zacian, right? Doesn't stop the EX or the Shining Arcana one. Lost Box, it stops a lot. The Raikou, the Dragonite, the Cramorant. It doesn't stop Sableye, right? So that's just something to note because it places damage on it. And then obviously, the Giratina and Gudra, Lost Zone decks, right? Like the Lost Zone variants. Doesn't stop those. Arceus variants, it doesn't really stop that either. But we have other things in the deck. So that's pretty cool. And then it's second attack there, which now we get into going against Arceus decks and Mew decks. Right? Dominating Echo for a Psychic and Dark. 2 energy, same as the other attack. Does 140. During your opponent's next turn, they can't play any special energy or stadium cards from their hand. And that is crazy good because, with the way that we built the deck, we can just pretty much put a stop to what our opponent is doing. And that's really what the goal is. Whatever our opponent's doing, we stop it. Right? Yeah, it does 140. So, it knocks out a lot of the Radiants. Pretty much all the Radiants. Knocks out a lot of the basics. None of the basic 2 prizers it doesn't knock out, right? And, nothing's really weak to Dragon right now. So, there's that. Then Squakabilly there. Pretty cool. It's obviously there for its Squawk and Seize ability. Once during your first turn, you may discard your hand to draw 6 cards. So this is just a great way to run through the deck, and we typically want to do that, in the very first turn of the game. So pretty much every game, right? If we're not doing that, then we might end up losing because we just want to keep getting cards, right? We don't want to be stopping. We want this deck to be faster than Hisuian Zoroark V-Star, right? Like last format, with Sword and Shield on, it was insanely fast. We want it to be that fast or faster. And that is the Pokemon, just 9 Pokemon. Pretty cool. I'm totally going to be trying this next week. This is just going to be a lot of fun. So, now we have trainers, supporters, and stadiums. Supporters first. Disruption, disruption, disruption. And the best disruption card is obviously Iono, right? We play 4 of these. We also need the best draw card in the game, right? Which is Professor's Research. Now, I contemplated on the 4th copy, but I still want to have a little bit more disruption. And I think with the way that I can mill through the deck, I think I can get enough cards and then draw into a research where it doesn't warrant having a 4th one. So a single Judge, right? Because Judge in some instances is better than Noivern, especially in the first turn of the game. Pardon me, better than Iono, especially in the first turn of the game. There we go, all centered. Raihan, because we're able to power up a Noivern in 1 turn. A Team Star Grunt. Right, so this is a pretty, good card here. It's much like the Team Yell Grunt of, the last formats, right, that got rotated out. So put an energy attached to your opponent's active on top of their deck. Pretty cool. And by the way, yes, we do not have any boss's orders. So the really cool thing about this card is you can actually combo it with the EX there with Noivern, right? And its attack there, Dominating Echo, right? They have a low hand. You play that, and then you Dominating Echo. Then you make them draw into that card, and then they just can't play it, right? So it completely slows them down for a turn. And actually, speaking of slowing them down, we have the best stadium in the game. And that is 4 Path to the Peak, right? Like I said, we want to just completely butcher their setup, right? And so that's why we play 4 Path. We want hand disruption. We want field disruption. We want ability disruption. So that's why we play 4 Path. And that is it for these supporters and the stadiums. So now on to the trainer cards. And the trainer cards, we want a turbo, right? We want fast cards, right? But we also want disruptive cards. So one of the best ones is Crushing Hammer. Got 4 of these in there. Flip coin of heads, discard an energy from one of your opponent's Pokemon. That's the new energy removal too. So that was, the card that was reprinted or printed back in the E series. I think it might have been Expedition it was printed in. And then later on, in black and white, it got changed to Pokémon Catcher. There we go. It got changed to Crushing Hammer, not Pokemon Catcher. There we go. Nest Ball. Got to get our basics out. Really simple. So now, speaking of Pokemon Catcher, we got 4 Pokemon Catcher, and that's why we don't play boss, right? Because we don't want to use our supporter for the turn on a boss. We want to draw cards. And so this makes up for it. More turbo. 4 trekking shoes. We can just go through card after card after card. Or evolution Pokemon. 4 Ultra Ball. Pretty simple. More search. 3 level ball. So this year I contemplated on cutting, right? You can maybe do that for something else if you like, right? But it's just a free card, right? And, you know, it ensures that we get our Noibats out on that very first turn. So, pretty cool. Next, we have my tool of choice, Rocky Helmet, just to get some extra damage into play. You could play Experience All. That's an option. But I went with the more damaging option, just so, you know, when they hit us, right, and they take damage back. Let's say we do Dominating Echo, we do 140, they hit us, they take 2. It's not a one-hit KO, that's 160. And then we hit back with Dominating Echo, boom, that's 300. So that's still quite a bit of damage, you know. It's not that 310, but speaking of that 310, you know, with a Dominating Echo twice and, you know, and a Choice Belt, you know, you're hitting, you know, well over that 310 mark. You know, in fact, you're hitting, you know, 340 or so if you're able to, you know, attack with it twice. You know, with Noivern twice with a Choice Belt, you know, 170 times 2, 340. That knocks out, you know, pretty much everything in the game. Doesn't work on Skeledirge EX because it is a EX, not AV, which is what this only works on. Pretty cool. Super Odd, just for some recovery. Our 5th Noivern. And then a switch. Just one switch for, you know, the odd reason that may come up. Pretty cool. And that is the trainer cards, right? Like I said, this is turbo. We want to turbo through the deck as quick as possible. We want to get that Noivern EX attacking on turn 2, right? We want to be starting first. This is a going first deck, not a going second deck, right? A lot of the Lost Zone decks, pretty much all of them are going a second deck. We're going first deck. We're like Lugia. Energy. 3 Dark Energy, right? Because we need it for our attack. 3 Psychic Energy. And then 2 Luminous. Now, I did have 10 energy total in the original list. The same Dark and Psychic count, but 4 Luminous. Right? I decided to cut 2. Because, you know, obviously drawing 2 at the same time or, you know, is not really too great. And you can't really have them on anything else. You can't have more than one attached to a Pokemon, right? That's what I mean. So, otherwise it just becomes colorless. So, it just makes sense to have a lot lower count of Luminous than the basic energy. So, and there we go, everybody. That is my version of Noivern EX, right? I am so excited to try this out next week. I have not seen a video on the channel on, you know, Noivern EX here. I actually really like this card. I think it's a great card. I actually think the whole set of Paldea Evolved is actually pretty good. So, yeah, there you go. This is a preliminary list. It's not tested, but it will be tested, like I said, next week. So give it, you know, a try yourselves and let me know what you think. All right? Awesome. And don't forget to leave a like on the video, comment, and, you know, subscribe to the channel and all that. This is Deck Profile Friday. We've got, obviously, Opening Sunday coming up. And then, yeah, obviously next week, so... And, yeah, there you go, everybody. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video.